Yes, I think another can start.
Yes, sir. My everything is set, no? Right?
Sir, yes, sir. We can go.
Yes. Yes, Uma. A warm good morning to one and all present here for this on this wonderful morning. On behalf of Tamil Nadu Physical Education and Sports University and the Department of Sports Management, Sports Psychology and Sociology, um, we extend a warm greetings to each and everyone on this auspicious occasion, and with the blessings of Almighty God and the support of each and everyone, this event is happening right now. And with these words, I invite Dr. S. Prem Kumar, the Professor and Head Department of Sports Management and Sports Psychology and Sociology, to welcome the gathering on this occasion. Sir, please.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Kannadasan. Respected dignitaries, my dear friends and dear participants, good morning, all of you. First of all, on behalf of department, we welcome our respected Vice Chancellor, Dr. Sheila Stephen Madam, for this webinar. We know that she is the busiest person in our university campus. We are very happy that she is available today with us and going to deliver presidential address. We welcome you, ma'am. We also welcome our respected registrar, sir, Dr. V. Gobinath, for this program. We are very happy about him, and he is going to give us, he is going to facilitate the function. We welcome you, sir. We welcome the keynote speaker for the first session, Dr. Priya Shokalingam, madam, who is a renowned cardiologist in Chennai City and got a doctoral degree in cardiology from UK, and also the founder and clinical director, Cardiac Wellness Institute, Chennai. She has been doing tremendous work for the well-being of these people in the city. We welcome you, ma'am. We also welcome the keynote speaker for the second session, Dr. R. Asha Rajini, who is a retired professor of poultry science at Madras Veterinary College, Tamil Nadu Veterinary University. Madam is a fitness enthusiast, and we welcome you, ma'am. We also welcome all the officers of our university and all the faculty friends and the students and scholars of our university department for this program. We also welcome all the participants who have joined this program from different places, institutions. And of course, we are really happy and feel honored to have such a great personalities and intellectuals as keynote speakers today. I'm sure the deliberation which will take place today would be of immensely helpful to each one of us to be physically fit enough and lead a better life. Once again, I welcome you one and all for this webinar. I wish you all have a nice and fruitful time ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your short and sweet and gracious welcome address on this occasion. And next, every event, as we all know, every event starts with a good wish. So to wish this event to happen in a very good way and to felicitate this event, may I request our respected registrar, Dr. V. Gopinath, sir, to say a few words on this occasion. Sir, please.
Honorable Vice Chancellors, respected officers of this university, learned professors, invited speakers, administrative staffs, dear participants, very good morning to one and all. All you know that the whole globe is facing so many problems due to the COVID-19 and the pandemic situation. Since our university is a unique in nature, to reach to the audience as well as the general public for creating awareness on health and wellness. So our dynamic Vice Chancellor during this pandemic condition, encouraging all the faculty members to organize and reach and to serve for the society through webinar and what are the possible mode, and with our continuous support and encouragement and guidance the university is organizing so many webinars and the title of health, wellness, fitness, Fit India program, and so on and so forth. And even the last week also we convened uh, meeting here for vigilance awareness too. So such a wonderful vice chancellor we are having, and a good leadership under headship. The university is marching positively towards betterment of the society. For the promotion of this university, vice chancellor has planning and working hard uh, and outreaching this program to get 12B, as well as we got 12B and other thing. Recently, I'm very happy to say this forum that we got a NSQF skill development program of 7 crore rupees from central government, as well as last week only we got the swimming pool sanction of 5 crore. It is all because of vice chancellor's sincere effort and hard work. So in such a situation, the pandemic condition, all the faculty members are initiated and encouraged by the good leader for the better outcome of this university and make the university serve for the humanities. I personally congratulate Dr. Prem Kumar, the head of department of hello, is audible? Department, Dr. V. Mangeer Karshi, Unit Head Shagin Ahmed, and Kannadasan for their sincere effort and to initiate this program and webinar, multi-dimensional approach on health and wellness. I personally pray for the grand success of this webinar, and I congratulate and wish a great success of this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for highlighting some of the events that had happened in the past in the university and happening right now, and including this program, and for your good wishes in the conduct of this program. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your presence too. And I take this opportunity, and I'm profusely overjoyed to invite Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Sheila Stephen, ma'am, to inaugurate this webinar, this live webinar, and to give a presidential address on this occasion. Ma'am, please, ma'am.
Thank you for the nice words of introduction and the wonderful felicitations being offered by our registrar. A special welcome to Dr. Priya Chokalingam to be with us from Cardiac Wellness Institute. And I also welcome Dr. Asha Rajni from Madras Veterinary College. I really appreciate the efforts taken by the Department of Sports Management, Sports Psychology and Sociology. And I congratulate the HOD, Dr. Mangeer Karshi, and the entire team which has been working together. I'm really proud of my teachers always. And this is yet another opportunity to congratulate them. So they have chosen a very wonderful title, which is called Multi-Dimensional Approach to Health and Wellness. So health and wellness, they have some iconic status in our life. And they are the twinning words, I should say. So in our life, it is not just surviving. It should be thriving. We need to be glorious in our life. We need to be victorious in our life. We should be very successful in our life, flourishing and developing. So all these things are possible when we have health and wellness. So in general, it talks about the quality of life, the quality of life of an individual. So the quality doesn't, just like that, it doesn't come. We need to have some deliberate effort to bring about quality in our life. And there should be some active pursuit, an active, deliberate effort we need to take to make our life healthy and full of wellness. Somebody has said, exercise is the medicine for health. Being a physical educationist, being in the profession for nearly 40 years, I should definitely speak on the importance of physical activity at this occasion. So I have two things in my mind. One is about the physical activity pyramid. It is not new to everybody. A pyramid with a broad base. At the lower level, we say it is a daily recommended activity. There are 4 levels in the PAP, the pyramid activity, physical activity pyramid. The lower one, the broader one, has a general normal day-to-day activity. Say like we run around, we go to office, we go upstairs, we do some gardening, we do some work at home. All these things are daily recommended activity. At the top, at the peak, there's a small place, very small area, which talks about an activity which is less beneficial. Okay. So we all know which is less beneficial. We spend a lot of time with TV, lot with our technology, having a very sedentary time, and we go for video games. So that is less important in our life. That's what the physical activity pyramid says. So the next to the broad base, the second one is some activity, some continuous normal activity we do every week, say 3 days to 5 days. That may be some active sports, some running, jogging, swimming, cycling, some specific unique activity. Next level, the third level, we have some very specific enjoyable activity which we choose for ourselves. Some unique activity, canoeing, kayaking, swimming, some specific activity. So the broader base, it is recommended to have a regular physical activity, a normal activity, a day-to-day activity, a daily recommended activity. At the top, which is less beneficial, which is very more sedentary, I should say. And in between, you have some choice of your activities. So if you are able to concentrate on that, on such activities, you will be able to be very successful. And wellness has its own important factors. The first one is heredity. The second one is environment. The third one should be the lifestyle we go across. Okay, so now at present in India, the wellness and health is at the back burner. A lady would not prefer to cook they would prefer to cook at the front burner, but the wellness and health in book says it is at the back burner, okay, of the stove. So we also should practice one more important thing. It is unique for me also as I was going through the books. It is to practice the mindfulness. To practice the mindfulness. To practice mindfulness is nothing but to consider your mind, to handle your mind. How are we when we come across some stressful situation? How are we going to handle that situation? And how are we going to balance the emotional ability of ours when we come across some situations? How are we going to manage our anger? So mindfulness also is one of the important factors, it is said, to have wellness in our life. So the choice of these particular webinars, the titles are so important. And if you all could have a very successful lifestyle management in total, then we'll be successful. And it is not like surviving alone, it is thriving in our life. All the best, my dear friends. And thank you and congratulations to the department and all those who are involved in this program. May God bless you. A special welcome and thank you once again to Dr. Priya and Dr. Asha. Thank you so much. God bless you. I take leave.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, your presence always adds an extra energy to the program. And it's a delighted occasion for everyone present here. And also for your wonderful words with regard to health and wellness. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you for your wishes too. And now with these words, may I request Dr. V. Mangairkarasi, Professor, Department of Sports Management and Sports Psychology and Sociology, to introduce our resource person, Dr. Priya Chokalingam, ma'am, in this live webinar. Ma'am, please.
Good morning, everyone. The empowered woman is powerful beyond measure and most beautiful beyond description. It's my pleasure to introduce the speaker of the day, Dr. Priya Chokalingam, the catalyst. She is a well-known cardiologist hailing from medical family and founder and clinical director of Cardiac Wellness Institute, Chennai, which provides comprehensive cardiac rehabilitations to the society. She has traveled a long distance to achieve the prominent medical practitioner in cardiac health through LSM and to inspire many healthcare service providers. She has been awarded with many degrees, MBBS from Madras Medical College, MRCPCH from the Royal College for Pediatrics and Child Health, UK, and PhD in Cardiology, University of Amsterdam, the Netherlands. She is the author of 3 books, Journey to a Hearty Health, Mind Your Heart, Idayam Kaaka in Tamil. And she has presented more than 40 scientific papers in national and international medical conferences. Dr. Priya Chokalingam is a well-known celebrity in the field of prevention and reversal of all diseases through lifestyle modification. She has been spreading awareness about heart-healthy lifestyle through television channels, print media, health camps, and office programs for corporate companies, educational institutions, government bodies, and non-profit organizations. கம்பன் வீட்டு கட்டுத்தறியும் கவி பாடும் அதுபோல பேராசிரியர் பெருந்தகையின் பேத்தியும் பேருரை ஆற்றுவார் என்பதில் ஐயமில்லை. இக்கலிங்கம் போனால் என்ன, மாமதுரை தொக்கலிங்கம் ஒன்றே துணை என பாடினர் அன்று. ஆனால் இன்றோ இதய நோய் எனில் இம்மண்ணில் மருத்துவர்கள் பலர் இருப்பினும் மாமேதையாம் நம் டாக்டர் சொக்கலிங்கமே துணை என நாடி ஓடி வருபவர்களின் இதயத்தை காப்பவரின் மகளான டாக்டர் பிரியா சொக்கலிங்கம் அவர்களை அறிமுகப்படுத்துவதில் பெருமை அடைகிறேன். With this few words, let me invite the speaker of the day, Dr. Priya Chokalingam, to deliver keynote address. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was a very kind introduction. Am I audible? Yeah, clear? Thank you, Professor Mangayakarsi, for that kind introduction. ரொம்ப அனைவருக்கும் என்னுடைய மனமார்ந்த காலை வணக்கங்கள். ப்ரொஃபசர் உங்க வைஸ் சான்சலர் has made my job very simple. She has very nicely and concisely given the important messages for the day. Thank you to the Vice Chancellor for giving a great start to the session this morning. So now I completed my MBBS from Madras Medical College in the year 2000 and had the opportunity to live and work abroad in a few countries over a time frame of about 10 years. I had the opportunity to do my PhD in preventive cardiology and cardiogenetics from the University of Amsterdam in the Netherlands, and then relocated back to India later in 2013. So the biggest surprise or the disappointing health trend for me was that preventable diseases like heart diseases and stroke, diabetes, hypertension were all becoming very, very rampant and prevalent in our country, in India. So though we are a country of traditional values and beliefs and have a lot of health imbibed in our regular day-to-day lifestyle in terms of our food and our activity pattern, it was the unhealthy lifestyle prevailing in the last few decades that has pushed us to become the diabetic capital of the world, even the heart disease capital of the world. So I think Professor Mangayakarsi has chosen a wonderful topic today, a multidimensional approach to health and wellness, which you, the participants, most of you are studying either physical education or exercise physiology, yoga therapy. I saw all the courses, wonderful courses that your university is offering. So I think in my topic today, as well as in my work that I do, I'm a preventive cardiologist now based in Chennai. I run Cardiac Wellness Institute, where our main aim is to prevent cardiovascular diseases and rehabilitate people with cardiovascular diseases so that they can lead a very normal, near normal, healthy life through the help of lifestyle changes as well as the latest advances in medicine and surgery. So with that, I would like to go on to my slideshow. Let me share my screen. I hope you can see my first slide.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. So yes, once again, a big thank you and gratitude to TNPSU for inviting me to address and meet all of you through this webinar today on a multidimensional approach to health and wellness. So I will be talking about the current health and wellness trends, some important healthy lifestyle metrics for each and every one of us, as well as for the society that you are going to be interacting with as professionals. A little bit about what cardiopulmonary rehabilitation is and what is the latest development globally in this area. And hopefully we will have sufficient time for some questions at the end of my talk. So as World Health Organization has defined, health is a state of complete physical, social, and mental well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. And it is very important that this enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of health is reaching everybody, irrespective of their race, religion, political beliefs, etc. So I think this definition from WHO from 1948 still stands good and is very applicable today as well. And if you want to think about wellness, so I really understand and like this particular wellness wheel, which says that wellness has 8 dimensions to it. So it has physical dimension, occupational, social, spiritual, financial, environmental, emotional, as well as intellectual wellness incorporated into a person's holistic wellness. So with this, now our topic is becoming clearer. What is a multidimensional approach? It is an approach with more than 2 dimensions or aspects to any particular problem or issue. So geometrically or mathematically, it is defined as the 3 dimensions are, you would know, the length, width, height, all of that. But the 4th dimension has been added as time. However, we are going to talk about the multiple dimensions or aspects that are involved in keeping us healthy and well throughout our lifetime. So let's jump into the core as topic now. So when you look at the global health trends, yes, we are still in the midst of a pandemic, an ongoing pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, which started earlier this year. It is a communicable disease or an infectious disease, as you would all know. It spreads rapidly from person to person. However, we are also at the cusp of a major global threat due to non-communicable diseases. The most common example or the major non-communicable disease that is threatening the world today is cardiovascular diseases, which I've mentioned as CVD. So, if all of you are following the news, so almost 5 crores individuals are affected globally with COVID-19 now, almost in the last 10 to 11 months. About 12 lakh people have even succumbed to the disease. So this is a big medical challenge and issue that the world is facing today. However, if you look at cardiovascular diseases, there are over 50 crores affected globally, and at least 2 crore individuals die every year from cardiovascular diseases. So definitely we are, though we think that, yes, this is a pandemic that we have to immediately overcome. Yes, that is an urgent situation now, but an ongoing year after year, an ongoing threat to the health and wellness of our people, of our younger generations, is this problem of cardiovascular diseases. So let us look a little bit more in detail about this and how we can prevent ourselves from it. So just now I spoke about non-communicable diseases. That is, it does not spread from one person to another, and it's most commonly caused by unhealthy lifestyle. For all the NCDs or non-communicable diseases, heart diseases occupies the biggest chunk, and then it is followed closely by cancers, respiratory problems, diabetes, and other NCDs. So it is ischemic heart disease that is marked here. Of the CVDs, ischemic heart disease, that is, heart attack is the main killer disease the world is facing currently, followed by stroke. You see the other big chunk is stroke or cerebrovascular accidents. So both heart attack and stroke, followed by hypertension and other cardiovascular diseases, are killing people on at a very high incidence these days. So we need to take note of this. And we also need to be aware that globally 1 in 10 people aged 30 to 70, no more are these diseases, heart diseases, more common in elderly people. So these are diseases of the young people, the young adults. So people between the ages of 30 and 70 are dying often from cardiovascular diseases. So this is the biggest cause of premature mortality now. It kills, as I said, almost 18 million people a year, and it's a big cause of non-communicable deaths all over the world. So if you were to ask me, are women protected against heart attacks? Actually, that was what we were taught when we were in medical school in the 90s. However, we now know that in men and women, heart disease or heart attack is the #1 killer disease. So gone are the days when women actually had the estrogenic protection, the hormonal protection, because now lifestyle has become uniformly unhealthy for all of us, especially the younger folks. So then heart disease is taking more and more lives. Younger men and women are falling prey to this disease. This is followed by the other leading causes of non-communicable causes of death, like cancers, as we saw, stroke, etc., etc. So this is again data from 2015, but again, even current data is reflecting the same. So if you look at the global map here, so the top panel are the leading ischemic heart disease burden in men, and the bottom panel shows the ischemic heart disease burden in women. So again, in men and women, all the dark red regions are showing that the burden is very, very high. So whether it's in men or women, India is right here. It's facing a heavy burden of heart diseases. And when we look more closely at the Indian data, we look at the southern states. Tamil Nadu and Kerala are heavily burdened by cardiovascular diseases. More than 5,000 people per 1 lakh population are said to be affected by heart problems here. So I think both globally as well as nationally, we as a state in the south, Tamil Nadu, but again, the whole of our country is at quite a high risk of heart diseases. And the unfortunate trend is that younger and younger people are falling prey to heart diseases. So if you look at 100 people who present to a emergency department with a heart attack, almost 25 or more of them are less than 40 years of age. So a quarter of the population who present with a first heart attack are below 40 years. So in fact, this is a very disturbing trend. So if we take two individuals from the West or the developed countries and from India, we are at a much higher risk to have heart attack at a much lower age, at least 20 years younger than the Western counterparts. And the Indian diaspora is showing similar trends. What does this mean? Our population settled in other countries like the America or Europe, and the Indian diaspora all over the world are also facing a higher rate of cardiovascular diseases than the local population. So this means that we are, for several reasons, at a higher risk for heart disease. So what exactly is a heart attack? So this is just a picture for you to understand that what happens during a heart attack is that the blood vessels supplying the heart itself, these are known as the coronary arteries, these blood vessels are blocked. So instead of having this normal blood flow through them, they can be blocked with cholesterol plaque or fatty deposits. And on top of that, they could also have a blood clot. And this combination of atherosclerosis can cause a complete heart attack or a block in the vessel and followed by a massive attack. So the other mechanism is a spasm of the coronary arteries, where momentarily the blood vessel can go in for constriction. A severe constriction can even be evil enough to cause a sudden cardiac problem and death. So this is how a heart attack is actually occurring. But if you have to see, before that, September 29th was World Heart Day, and this year's theme was use your heart to beat heart attack. So I really like this, this logo and this theme for this year, because people are currently in the midst of a pandemic. Yes, we have to be aware and conscious about preventing this pandemic in ourselves and in our communities. But again, we also have to apply our minds and our hearts to preventing the cardiovascular disease epidemic, right? So I would say the focus areas for you as students would be to gain knowledge and awareness about heart problems, and start thinking multidimensionally. Yes, there are multiple aspects or dimensions to this health challenge. And yes, you are the people best equipped to become the role models of a future healthy India. So this rubric here is showing the risk factors for cardiovascular diseases. So you would all be aware that hypertension, diabetes, and cholesterol problems are risk factors for heart disease or stroke. So these are things which can be measured in our blood or through blood pressure monitoring. However, there are certain risk factors that we are not readily aware of, like unhealthy diet, a sedentary lifestyle, or lack of exercise, just as our Vice Chancellor very nicely mentioned about the physical activity pyramid. So this is something, yes, you as a sports university member might well be aware of, but I think a large part of our public is not aware that sedentary lifestyle itself is an independent risk factor for a lot of lifestyle problems. Obesity, yes, abnormal body weight is not good. Again, addictions like smoking and excessive alcohol intake. And in the middle of the rubric, you see that we have psychosocial factors like mental stress. So all these 9 are independent risk factors for cardiovascular disease. Nava Dhaniyangal, Nava Ratnam, Navaratri இப்போ ரீசெண்டா போச்சு. இந்த 9, just like how all of the 9s that I just mentioned are important in our life, these 9 risk factors are equally important for us to be aware of. So if you would like to read more about these, you should look into the studies such as Framingham study, the Interheart study, the mediators of atherosclerosis in Asians living in America, so the Masala study. So all of this are just reinforcing the fact that these risk factors have to be controlled, have to be prevented, and rehabilitated. And the new concept that has been prevailing recently is the concept of epigenetics. So epigenetics simply means that even if we have a familial predisposition, even if we have a genetic inheritance through our ancestors for diseases like diabetes or heart attack, if we are ready to lead a healthy lifestyle from today, if we can manage our lifestyle better, and of course, our environment is not completely under our control, but yes, we can control our environment to some extent. So if all of these external factors are well managed, then there is a good chance that this genetic abnormality will go unmanifested. So we might not even end up with diabetes or heart attack or stroke, even if we have that abnormal gene. So this is known as the science of epigenetics. You are welcome to read about this also, because now epigenetics is gaining a lot of ground, and we know that age, gender, and family history can be overruled by a healthy lifestyle. So this is a very positive information for all our youngsters. So it doesn't matter if it's there in your family. Don't blame them anymore. Take it up as an individual effort to prevent this disease in yourself. So I think this is one of the important messages for today. So moving on to the health metrics that I spoke about. How do we know if we are eating healthy? So just as the physical activity pyramid was alluded to by the Vice Chancellor, we have this healthy eating pyramid, right? So at the bottom of the pyramid, we have the naturally available things like fruits, vegetables, and anything that's available naturally, not processed, and it's readily available for us to consume. And the next part of the pyramid is the whole grains. So anything which is obtained from grains like your rice, your wheat products like chapati, pasta, bread, and your millets, so sirudhaniyangal. So all of these are oats and barley are also examples of grain products. And as long as they are whole grain, they are much more nutritious and healthy than the refined grain products. Yeah. And then as we move up the pyramid, we see the protein sources like dairy, milk products, etc. And you also have your non-vegetarian sources of proteins and fats like your seafood, your poultry, your eggs. And then at the top of the pyramid, we have some healthy oils and seeds and nuts. So all of these are very important for a healthy, balanced nutrition. So if you were to ask me how to make this simple, I would say follow the healthy eating plate, which was actually proposed by the Harvard School of Public Health and is becoming very practical and easy for people to use. So whenever you pick up a plate to have a meal, right, you have your breakfast, lunch, dinner, mostly when you have it in a plate or let's say a bowl. So when you pick up your plate, make sure that at least half the plate is filled with vegetables and fruits. This can be in any form. Your vegetables can be as salads, raitas. We all have poriyal or sabji and side dishes in our diet, right? So make sure that's a big part of your plate. Have some fruit along with it. And 1/4 of your plate needs to be whole grains, preferably whole grains. So the idea here is if you have a bowl of rice or let's say a bowl of something made of grains, then 2 bowls of vegetables and fruits need to be there. So the double, so this is half, this is a quarter. And the remaining quarter is your healthy protein. So where do you get your healthy proteins from? Both plant sources as well as animal sources, right? So this is how your healthy eating plate should look like for each and every meal. So if you have this concept at the back of your head, it's much more easier. And I would say, and have the pyramid also. Remember that the pyramid also is giving us a guideline. So choose the healthy oils. Yes, which oil to choose is always a big question. We can definitely discuss that if you'd like more details in the Q&A. But healthy oils are important and sufficient amount of water in your daily diet. So keep your salt, oil, and sugar to a minimum. SOS, everybody will think of Save Our Souls. It's an emergency code which is worldwide prevalent. But here I'm using it to keeping your salt intake, oil intake, and sugar intake to a minimum. So we don't actually need any added sugar in our diet. The vegetable and fruits have enough sugar to sustain our sugar needs. But yes, we all like to have some sweet dishes. We all like to have had some sugar, but keep that to a minimum. And again, healthy oils to a minimum, because even if they are claimed to be healthy, having excessive amount of oils is definitely bad for us. And salt, we don't need more than 2 grams of salt per day, each one of us, but we take close to 8 to 10 grams, almost 5 times more than our actual requirement. And that's one of the biggest causes for high BP and heart problems globally. So with that in mind, so you would all know about body mass index, right? BMI. What is it? Do we need to know what our BMI is? Yes, I think it's a good idea to know our own BMI and see how it is, trending. So it's nothing but our weight in kilos divided by our height in square meters. So a normal BMI is anywhere between 18.5 to 24.9. And anything above that is classified as overweight, obese, and morbid obesity. So in fact, in Asians, in our country, in China and other Asian countries, they are even recommending a slightly lesser range for normal. Up to 23 is what is considered as normal. So I think we should all know where we stand in our BMI. And of course, the other parameter for heart problems that is very useful to know is the waist circumference. So, the low risk of heart problems is seen in women who have a waist circumference below 31.5 inches and in men below 37 inches. So this is something, the pot belly or the increased adiposity in the abdomen as well as in the thighs, all of this have to be kept under control. That's very important. I don't think I have to even talk about exercise. I know that I'm actually interacting with a very fit population today, because you're all proponents of fitness and exercise to the rest of the community. But it has to be, I would like to stress the fact that what is actually sufficient exercise? The World Health Organization again says that at least 30 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic activity on 5 days per week for a total of 150 minutes or 2.5 hours. So when you do this on a regular basis for 5 days a week, that is when it is considered as good, regular, sustained exercise. Or if you're somebody who does vigorous aerobic activity, you can do it for 25 minutes on 3 days a week. So that leads to about 75 minutes of vigorous, that's called very high intensity activity, right? Whichever you choose for, you're also expected to do moderate to high intensity muscle strengthening activity on 2 or more days of the week. So I think when we are able to follow this pattern, so when we say muscle strengthening activity, there are several ways of doing it. Many of you have participated in the survey. We will go through the survey results shortly. So this pattern of doing aerobic exercise on 5 days of the week, on top of that, adding some form of muscle strengthening activity for 2 days of the week is ensuring that we are all healthy and fit. And all our body organs, not only our heart, but all our blood vessels and the rest of our organs are also going to work impeccably for the rest of our lives. And again, most of you would be aware of the FIT principle. It basically means is a way of measuring how much we are exercising and how well we are exercising. So it is referring to the frequency of exercise, the intensity, the time, and the type of exercise. So whether you are exercising on 3 or 5 days of the week, keep track of it. Try to either mark it or have an app or whatever suits you best. Keep track of your days of exercise. And look at how hard you are exercising. That's important. So they already said moderate to high intensity activity. So very low intensity activity might not have that effect benefit. So have a tab on how intense your exercise is. How long? So definitely it has to be at least 30 minutes, as we said. But for those who are extremely busy and who cannot even take 30 minutes at a stretch, we even recommend breaking it down to, let's say, 10 to 15 minutes for 2 to 3 times in a day. Even that is much better than not exercising because of the lack of a continuous stretch of time. And the type of exercise, yes, there are different types like aerobic, strengthening, balance exercises, flexibility gaining exercises. So whatever you choose to do, I think this FIT principle will help you remain fit for a long time. And I'm a strong believer of enjoying the exercise that you do. So, I mean, it's one thing to do an exercise because you have been medically advised to, but the most important thing is to start enjoying it in due course of time, or try to at least understand which is the most enjoyable exercise for you that you can follow on a regular basis. So again, there are lots of opportunities, but since outdoor activities have been restricted in the last almost a year due to the pandemic, can we exercise at home? Yes, why not? I think exercising at home can be equally or at least even more effective than actually going out and exercising. We don't have to think that now I'm restricted to my house, I'm not going out, or even my regular commute to work is also not there, so my activity levels have dropped. I think it's just a mindset thing. If we have a nice, let's say a terrace or a garden or even a room in your house where you don't have much disturbance, you can just find a quiet corner and do your exercises. So it doesn't matter. The place is not the most important thing. It's the mindset to exercise, even if the environment or the conditions are not that conducive. And in fact, in our cardiac wellness programs or the rehabilitation programs, now we have completely shifted it to online programs. So we do not expect, or in fact, we do not want our patients or clients to come to our center in Besant Nagar because it's again a higher risk of transmission of disease, right? So it's all being done home-based. Most of them do not own equipment. So again, it need not be equipment-based. It can be just based on their own body weight and simple things like steps at home, or water bottles. We use water bottles. I know all of you are aware of this, but this is in fact to reinforce the fact that even for patients, even for those who have health issues, we can actually customize it to what they actually have and don't need to have too many fancy things to do to be fit, right? And yes, exercise has a enormous benefit in terms of releasing our happy hormones. So you would all know that these are the hormones that are important for our happiness, for our pain tolerance. So dopamine, endorphin, oxytocin, serotonin are excellent chemicals inside our own body that our brain is producing nonstop. But this can be promoted, or the brain can be encouraged to produce more of these hormones by regular exercise. So I think now all of you are convinced. You're already a population who's convinced about exercise. So that's why you've chosen to be a part of the sports university. But what else other than diet and exercise? What else is important? Which is the other dimension that is important for our holistic health and wellness? It is the healthy mind. So you would definitely agree with me if I said that a healthy body and a healthy mind is what makes a human happy, or a completely well human, right? So let's talk about that. So stressors and stress are two different things. I think this one main thing is we need to understand that the stressor is coming from outside, the pressure is coming from outside, but stress is actually our own response to these stressors. So to give you an example, the sudden COVID-19 pandemic that was thrown at us, it came out of the blue. We were not prepared for a global health challenge of this nature. In fact, we have lost a lot of our near and dear ones to this infectious disease. So this is an immense stressor that has been thrown upon us without any warning. So yes, it is a stressor. And actually the stress response that we have thrown back, or we have exhibited a response to that. So some of us have, become proactive. We have tried to follow all the prevention or the precautions to prevent the disease, and not only for ourselves, for the rest of our family and our community as well. Whereas some of us have, not been able to do as much, maybe have already fallen prey to the disease, or, they have gone into a lot of anxiety and depression issues. So globally, we now know that anxiety and depression has gone up significantly during this pandemic. So yes, there are different ways in which people respond to stressors and triggers. But the ultimate thing is, if we know that we can manage our stress response better, I think then we can be in better control of our holistic wellness. So as I just said, anxiety, depression, chronic stress, post-traumatic stress disorder. So all of these are the psychosocial factors that lead to heart problems, stroke, metabolic diseases, etc. And people who have heart ailments are also known to have a higher risk of psychosocial issues like anxiety and depression. So I think this vicious cycle has to be broken. We have to better support people with chronic ailments, and we also have to identify psychosocial factors early to be able to prevent certain things like medication non-adherence, smoking, physical inactivity, etc. So this vicious cycle is something which needs to be, we need to be aware of and break this cycle. And I really believe that it's okay to not be okay. Yes, we all have our times when we are extremely jubilant, extremely happy, but we all have our reasons to also not feel completely okay mentally. So I think it is important to manage our stress in a healthy way. So yes, stress is an important part of our lives. It's not going to go away just because we ignore it. Stress is going to be there. You're going to have your stress mechanisms built up, but how are you going to manage them? And are you going to use the right tools to manage your psychosocial factors like stress? So again, I would like to re-stress the fact that regular exercise, a healthy diet, added with some stress management techniques or relaxation techniques like yoga, meditation, maybe even creative art, or helping others. So, voluntary activity. So whatever it is that gives you relaxation has to be followed regularly. And I think backed up by fitness and good diet, this is always the best combination to keep your stress at bay. And remember, we all need to take time for ourselves. Yes, we may be running around, we may be students, we may be professors, teachers, or busy professionals in our lives. But I think we all need time for ourselves. We need to take a few minutes of every day out to reflect on how the day has been, on how our life has been, try to relax, unwind, and also recharge yourself. So just like how you would recharge your gadgets, it's important to recharge your mind and body on a regular basis. So use the ideal tools to do all of this, to recharge yourself. Do not fall prey to substance abuse like tobacco use or alcohol or even drugs, because all of that might give some temporary sense of feeling good or feeling well, but they're extremely harmful for our health. So again, this message has to be also spread across the society. So I think when we manage our mental stress and physical health together in unison, then we have a killer combination there. Are we getting sufficient sleep? Is that even important in all this, all the dimensions that we spoke about? Yes, at least 6 to 8 hours of good quality sleep is extremely important for us as to be healthy adults. So we know that poor sleep can cause stress, and stress can also prevent us from getting a good night's sleep. So this is the second vicious cycle that we should be breaking, right? And stress, anxiety, and depression are known to impact the hormonal function and the hormonal release from our brain and even our uh, uh, sex organs, our endocrine organs. So in fact, a lot of hormonal disturbance these days in our youngsters is because of the undetected or the unmanaged psychosocial factors or issues that they're facing. So I think this is important to address. A lot of lifestyle diseases can be prevented if we understand the stress levels of the person, if we can provide them some proper counseling, because I think a lot of it does not need medication. A lot of the psychosocial issues or mental health issues need counseling, need adequate scientific and experienced counseling, and they can actually help them overcome it. Again, stress management techniques, I already had alluded to this before, but not one technique will help everybody. So as they say, not one size fits all, right? We need to find out which is something we really enjoy, which gives us maximum relaxation. But again, there's evidence to show that yoga, meditation, deep breathing, that is pranayama, or simple deep breathing, all of these have good relaxation effects on the entire cardiovascular system. All our blood vessels relax well, even exercise and stretching. So these are all known to be good relaxation techniques, but provided we do them on a regular basis. We cannot just have an exam tomorrow, a deadline tomorrow, and say, I'm overly stressed today, I'm going to try a relaxation technique. In that case, it might not be beneficial. Trying something new when you're already perturbed or stressed might in fact add on to your stress level. So please manage and try doing regular relaxation techniques, and you will see the benefits within a short period of time. So we as an organization have been working a lot in prevention and rehabilitation aspects of cardiovascular diseases. Recently, we conducted a study in a few women's colleges in Chennai to look at what the risk behaviors were for cardiovascular health. We particularly looked at their diet intake. This was a similar questionnaire survey that we had done to the survey that we had circulated before this webinar as well, looking at their vegetable intake, fruit intake every day, how much whole grains were they eating, and their exercise pattern, chronic stress levels, and hours of sleep, etc. I think the disappointing trend was most of our students were not meeting the requirements. So how much of fruits and vegetables do we need in a day? At least 5 cups of a combination of fruits and vegetables. So 1 cup is approximately 80 grams. So we need at least 80 times 5. So that much amount of fruits and vegetable is what is recommended by the WHO Health Organization. And at least one of our meals every day should consist of whole grain products. So with this in mind, very few of our students were meeting that requirement. Again, exercise, women were not exercising as much as men. In fact, we also in our study compared it with other studies from India, looking at students, men and women students across the country. And again, women were not meeting. In fact, even male students were not meeting their exercise requirements. And yes, a lot of our students were chronically stressed. So it's not that only as we become older or, as we get more responsibilities, we face chronic stress. Even our youngsters, our younger generation are chronically stressed. So we found out that a lot of these behavioral issues were there. Luckily, smoking and alcohol consumption was almost nil, was very, very minimal. So we know that our population, our youngsters know that it's harmful to use tobacco products or consume alcohol, but they are not aware that lifestyle risk behaviors also exist in their diet intake, in their exercise pattern, and their sleep and stress. So we provided a workshop for them, and we in fact followed it up recently, and we realized that there was quite a big difference in how they were approaching their day-to-day choices. So let's discuss briefly about the survey that we just conducted. Thank you to all of those. We had about 209 responses from our participants in this webinar. About 60% were students, 40% were faculty, about 63% were men, and the remaining were women. 77% consumed a mixed diet, that is a non-vegetarian diet. 17% were vegetarians, and 6% were ovo-lacto, that is they consumed mostly a vegetarian diet but also included eggs. And when asked how often do you eat a balanced healthy meal, a lot of them said either every day or most days. Almost 85% said every day or most days. Unfortunately, when we looked into the actual details of whether it was a balanced healthy meal or not all of them were meeting the requirements. So you may be considering or thinking that, yes, I am eating a balanced healthy meal. But from today's webinar, you would actually know what constitutes a balanced healthy meal, right? Because we said whole grain products should be had at least once a day. So only 26% of the population were consuming whole grain products on a daily basis. So the others were falling short. Similarly, only 73 of the 209 responses are actually consuming 5 or more cups on fruits and vegetables every day. So now we know that if you're falling short of your fruit, vegetable, and whole grain consumption, yes, so then these are areas that you should be working on to attain a balanced, healthy diet. I was glad to look at the responses in terms of exercise. We have, as I already said, we have a fit population here. At least half of you are exercising on 5 or more days. So this is a very good thing. Most of our previous surveys have not shown this positive trend. Also, I needed to highlight that 14 respondents were not performing any of the exercises that were mentioned in the survey, and 26 respondents are not performing any strength training exercises. So while we have a predominantly fit population here, again, there are areas which some of you need to focus on, right? And when asked about any chest pain, discomfort, or heaviness while exercising, about 16 to 17% of you have denoted it as yes. So that is 35 responses said that they had some symptoms during exercise. So how would you evaluate this further? Is this important to be evaluated? Yes. Exercise related symptoms are something which can be an indicator for an underlying cardiovascular disease. Yes, it's not to scare people, but we have to be aware, both as future fitness professionals and for yourselves. You should be aware that if there is an undue symptom, like you would know that we would all face, sweating when we are exercising, we would be breathless when we are doing heavy exercise. These are the regular reactions of our body to exercise. But anything that is undue discomfort, any chest pain that arises during exercise, any heaviness or palpitation, that is, you're feeling any abnormal heart beating in your chest. So all of this can be a marker for an underlying disease and needs to be evaluated further with tests like ECG, echo, etc. So to the question, would you say you are constantly stressed or worried? Most of you had answered no, but about 35% had said yes. And 73% are following some stress management techniques, and 74% are getting adequate sleep. So we have a population here who is actually multidimensionally quite healthy and well. They are following stress management techniques on a regular basis and also getting adequate sleep of 6 to 8 hours. But about 35% have reported to be chronically stressed. They need to work on their stress management a little bit more. I think that's the message on that. And to touch upon the last few slides on cardiopulmonary rehabilitation, because all of you who are working in the area of health and fitness and exercise should know that this is a medically supervised program which is now globally acclaimed to help people with heart problems. And together with pharmacotherapy, that is medicines, it can actually not only halt the disease progression, but also reverse the heart disease. So exercise training, education, counseling, and nutritional guidance are important aspects of this rehab program. And it is meant for patients with several heart problems like heart attack, bypass surgery, stent procedures, even cardiomyopathies, even heart-lung transplant patients. So an entire gamut of cardiovascular diseases, the patients are now known to benefit from this program. And it has several phases in it. The third phase, that is the 12-week hospital or the community-based program, is the most important, because when somebody follows a new lifestyle and healthy lifestyle for 3 months, that's 12 weeks. Now, there's scientific evidence that they will most likely adhere to it for their entire lifetime. And after that, they do not fall off the charts, but they provided follow-up care and also continue with all their exercises and healthy diet, so that throughout life they will not have a second heart attack or a need for a further surgery, etc. As I said, we are providing these home health cardiac rehabilitation programs now. And the unique advantages are it addresses the psychosocial needs of the patient as well. So cardiac rehab addresses the queries and worries of the patients and their family members. It helps to educate them so that they understand the need for a heart healthy lifestyle. So I think this interdisciplinary management is what we as an institute are focusing on. Yes, the doctor, the psychologist, the dietitian are all important, but you, this community where you are either physiotherapist, exercise physiologist, yoga therapist, or physical educationist, so your area is extremely important in the terms of complete recovery of the patient and future well-being. So I think you have a great role to play in the health of the future community. And again, pulmonary rehab is a similar program for people with chronic lung diseases, and it is meant for COPD, bronchiectasis, lung cancer patients, lung transplant, muscle disorders. So all of these patients are known to benefit from pulmonary rehab. They feel much better with reduced symptoms, reduced need for oxygen therapy. So now I think COPD is so common because lifestyle as well as environmental pollution have become a big problem. So we have to focus on pulmonary rehab. And COVID-19, does it actually impact the heart? Is it only a disease of the respiratory system? We now know that it actually impacts the heart. It causes a lot of problems in terms of acute heart attack, even myocarditis or inflammation of the heart muscle, arrhythmias, heart failure. All of these are known to occur after a COVID-19 infection in an individual. Again, post-COVID rehab is extremely important, because only now we are getting to understand that after the acute phase, somebody recovers from the COVID infection, but they end up with a lot of other chronic problems like breathing difficulty, muscle weakness. Their mobility is restricted for a long time. They feel fatigued. So for all of this, again, the post-COVID rehab, keeping all the multi-systems in mind is also important. So again, if you'd like to look up at our publications, we published in British Medical Journal's Heart Asia earlier. We've shown that these prevention programs or rehab programs are not only effective in the Western population, because initially all the studies were in the Western population. Now we've shown that even in our own South Indian population, these programs are very effective. So we highlight the multidisciplinary and linguistic needs of our patients, and then it is extremely effective. And then recently we looked at a multi-center study on the quality outcomes of cardiac rehab program in different parts of India. So again, we realized that in India, there were few centers only actually focusing on cardiac rehabilitation, but even there, the documentation was still not completely aligned with how it has to be done and how it is done in the West. So we have a lot to work on. We have a new area of developing preventive cardiology here, and I'm excited to be working on improving our programs in India. So this is a small video of the actual Yeah, so the last couple of minutes, I would like to stress on something called sudden cardiac death in young people. So as you are all working in the area of physical fitness and physical, exercise, so you would have read in the news that people fall dead or collapse after an athletic event, let's say a marathon, or youngsters playing football. So all of these come out in the news, and as healthcare professionals, we should also be aware that these kind of sudden cardiac deaths in youngsters can be due to underlying cardiac problems. So a lot of, we don't have to go into the details of this pie chart, but it is very clear that almost 80% of these deaths in the 4 years of this study had some underlying cause to it. So it had to be identified. So what is sudden cardiac death? Basically, it is a condition where an individual, a healthy individual, suddenly drops down and dies. The most common causes can be cardiomyopathies. It can also be genetic problems of the heart. These are single gene disorders. So I did my PhD in this sudden cardiac death topic. So if you come across somebody who has exercise related symptoms, so first and foremost, you should understand that cardiac arrest is not the same as heart attack. So heart attack, as we saw, is a circulation problem. There's a block in the blood supply and the heart is manifesting it as a heart attack. Whereas a cardiac arrest is an electrical problem. So the electrical activity of the heart can come to a standstill due to a arrhythmia. That is known as a cardiac arrest. The commonest cause of a cardiac arrest is a heart attack, but there can be other important causes which can go undetected. So again, structural problems of the heart, acquired problems, or electrical problems can be a cause of this sudden cardiac arrest or sudden cardiac death. So as individuals working in the fitness area, you should be aware of some red flags. Somebody who has syncope, that is sudden loss of consciousness, who has palpitations, who during exercise complains of some abnormal heartbeat in their chest, or they might have history of some unusual drowning episode, or they can have unexplained seizures, that is epilepsy, right? Any fits of unexplained cause. So sudden cardiac death in the family, or they might have aborted cardiac arrest. They could have had a cardiac arrest which got resuscitated. So all of these are red flags, especially if it is associated with some form of exercise. It doesn't have to be during a athletic event. It could be just during their day-to-day life, like running for a bus, running, or doing some activity within their household. So any of this, when associated with exercise, you have to be alert. You have to get them evaluated by a cardiologist. Quite often a simple ECG and simple investigations throw a lot of information. Rarely they might need genetic testing as well. So to sum it up, prevention of cardiovascular diseases is extremely important. There's primordial prevention, that is, even before the risk factors occur, we have to create awareness amongst our youngsters. Yes, if the risk factors have occurred, then we call it primary prevention. We manage them through lifestyle, medications, etc., and try to prevent any major organ damage. Again, if they've had heart failure, heart attack, stroke, etc., then we call it as secondary and tertiary prevention as well. So prevention is extremely important in all the stages. So lifestyle modifications and medications go hand in hand in helping reversal of these diseases. So my take-home messages for the day are, you should be the ambassadors of health. As our Vice Chancellor very rightly said, lifestyle, environment, and genes are working constantly together to either provide us with good health or to lead to disease. So we have to focus on holistic wellness. Prevention is definitely the best approach. Reversal is scientifically proven, so you don't have to go with the thought that once we have the disease, then the burden is more. We can reverse it through lifestyle changes, and having fun is definitely the key element. So you as youngsters have to enjoy the process of staying healthy and have to be ambassadors of good health and wellness in our society. With that, I would like to thank the organizers for this wonderful opportunity and would like to take questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. That was an awesome presentation. We enjoyed the presentation. As like anything, there are a lot of appreciation messages in the YouTube as well and in the Zoom too. And so we could understand about the various factors that are associated with cardiac illnesses and many more things that you had explained. We are really happy to have you on this occasion, and we have some questions and clarifications, not questions, some clarifications from the participants, which has been posted in the chat box as well from YouTube, and even few of our faculty members would like to clarify in person. Shall I proceed with that, ma'am?
Yes, definitely. Thank you,
Thank you.
Kannadasan.
Thank you. Ma'am, the question, some clarifications that has been put up in the chat box. Should I read it, or will you be able to open up the chat box and address the
Yeah,
clarification?
I can open it and address it. Not a problem.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
How much time do we have, Kannadasan, before the next speaker starts?
It's another 10 to 15 minutes
Okay.
we have.
Okay, thank you. So, so there's somebody asking about can the plate design change for individuals who aim for weight gain or weight loss for some time? Yes, so I think they're referring to the healthy eating plate that I had, shown as a slide. I think whether it is weight gain or weight loss, the concept of this plate will not differ much. So I think the half the plate being fruits and vegetables, quarter of the plate being whole grains, and quarter being healthy proteins is almost applicable to all of us, irrespective of whether you're working towards weight loss or weight gain. But some components like, for weight loss, what are the things that you would be focusing on weight loss? The unhealthy food. So you would not want to go for the unhealthy fats. You still need healthy fats. You still need a good amount of proteins in your diet. You need a lot of vegetables and fruits and whole grains. So if you look at somebody who wants to gain weight, then again, you don't want them to gain weight by consuming unhealthy or junk food. You want them to have the good intake of proteins. Yes, there might be differences in probably whether it is 25% of proteins or whether it is going to be slightly lesser. For those maybe people who have renal problems should not have that much proteins. So that can be decided by your dietitian. So I think we all need to understand that, yes, for most of the day-to-day things, we can look at the web, we can get information and we can follow. But if there is a health concern, if they have some organ damage, or if they need to modify their diet to suit specific conditions. So again, weight gain is not easy and weight loss is not also easy. So this has to be done well. A well-rounded program is needed for somebody to achieve this. So my short answer is the plate concept will not change much. There might be minor modifications in what actually you eat in each of these components, and that will be the best person to advise you would be an expert nutritionist or dietitian. You are able to hear me, right, Kannadasan?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You are very much audible to everyone.
Thank you. So then there's one question on some physicians, cardiologists consider the body mass index limit of 18 to 23 as normal. Is there any evidence based on backup? Yes, as I alluded to, why do they say 18 to 23 is normal? That's because our Asian population, especially the South Asians, have a high preponderance for cardiovascular diseases. So there have been some studies to show that even a BMI between, as we said, 25 and above is called overweight globally. But for our Asian population to be on the safer side, and because of some scientific evidence, they've said that the upper limit of normal is 23. Yes, there's scientific evidence. So again, don't worry too much about the numbers there. I think the overall concept of health, when we focus on the holistic aspects, there's a good chance that your BMI will come under the normal range as a byproduct of healthy diet, good exercise, adequate exercise, and a lot of stress management. So which tests are needed after 40 to 45 for health checkup generally? Wonderful question. They also asked which tests are needed for after 65. Okay. So in general, yes, after the age of 40, we all need to have our routine checks done. This is at least what we believe, used to believe that at least until the age of 40, we don't need to focus so much on preventive health. But of late, the American Heart Association has said that from the age of 20, we should start monitoring our basic parameters like BP, sugar, cholesterol, our tendency for addictions and our health behavior. So 20 is the right age now for both men and women. And if everything is normal, every 5 years, you can get your routine check done. After the age of 40, definitely every year, or maybe once in 2 years if everything is normal. But after the age of 40, we all need to work on our,
ஆபீஸ்ல போனீங்கன்னா ரெஜிஸ்ட்ரார் செக்ஷன் போங்க கேஸ்
somebody has to mute,
இருப்பாங்க அவங்கள
mute their mic.
உங்களை
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So after the age of 40, what are the routine things? Your blood sugar,
இருக்கும்
your blood pressure, your cholesterol levels, you get your ECG done, look at whether you're anemic or not with the routine complete blood count. Most of this is what we need. Only if there is evidence for further, investigations, we would go for something like an echo or an angio or things like that. Again, the common things that you can also look at are your vitamin levels. So we now know that vitamin D is quite often reduced in our population. So vitamin levels, vitamin D and other vitamins can be done, but I mean, it's not a big must. Okay. How can sudden fainting or collapse during long distance running be prevented? Or so their question is, so can it be prevented at all? So pre-participation, Kannadasan, can you mute the others, please?
Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I hope I'm audible now. So pre-participation screening for athletes is something that a lot of countries are focusing on. So if somebody wants to enroll in a state level or a national level athletic team or sports team, they have to have a basic health check done as a pre-participation screening. I don't think it's that mandatory in India, but can it be prevented? Yes, if at the age of 20 we start doing all of these routine checks, it can be prevented to a large extent, but still there might be some genetic abnormality that could have gone undetected, or some cardiomyopathy. These are conditions which will only manifest when that individual exercises aggressively. Okay, so that's why I said red flags are important. If you note that in an individual or in their family, please refer them for further detailed investigation. Okay, I hope I'm clear on that. I've asked one of the questions is suggest a standardized general health questionnaire. A wonderful question. I think if you read a paper that I had just mentioned on in the Indian Heart Journal, where we provided the survey thing for our women students, the big problem that we came across was there was no standardized general health questionnaire, at least nothing specific for the Indian population. And that's one of the limitations we've mentioned. We need to work on that, and we need to have something for our youngsters. So I think we are thinking on the same lines. Thanks for that question. What about coconut oil? And wonderful. I was wondering, where's the question about oil? Is somebody or all our participants not interested in oil? Yes, they've asked about virgin coconut oil for daily use in cooking and how much to consume daily. Okay, so the question is, which oil is healthy? Can we consume one oil on a regular basis? And is there a kind of a gold standard oil? So the simple answer is no, there is no gold standard oil. We know that plant-based oils, that is oils from plant sources, are healthier than oils from animal sources. So that means our, let's say our olive oil, rice bran oil, sunflower oil, groundnut oil, sesame seed oil, all these oils are safer, healthier than our ghee, butter, the rest of the animal-based oils. And the no are the processed oils like vanaspati and the dalda. So all of that have actually been completely now recommended against. We know that they contain a lot of trans fat. So now among the plant-based oils, I did not specifically, or for a reason, I did not mention coconut oil, because it stands out. It has a particular property of having a high quantity or content of saturated fats. So in general, plant-based foods do not contain any cholesterol. So I hope this is a new message from for everybody, because people think that oils, seeds, nuts, all of this contain cholesterol, but plant-based oils and plant-based foods inherently do not have any cholesterol. But some of the plant-based oils and nuts have a lot of saturated fat. that can get converted by our liver into the unhealthy cholesterol. So what you need to remember is coconut oil is very high in saturated fat. That is the only oil which I know that it has a very high content of saturated fat. So use it minimally. Whichever plant-based oil you're using, use it minimally. Use this concept called rotation of oils. Use sesame seed oil, nallenna நம்ம Indian foodல நிறைய யூஸ் பண்றோம். So use that for garnishing. Use olive oil for your salads. தாளிக்கிறதுக்கு you can use either your rice bran or your sunflower oil. Coconut oil maybe for 1 or 2 dishes like a rice dish or something like that. So use rotation of oils. Remember that even a 1 teaspoon of oil contains about 125 calories in it. So go very minimal, go low on your oil. Do not reuse your oils. So this is my message for those who have are interested in oils. So I think that brings us to the end of questions. Are there any other questions, Kannadasan, that you
Yes,
would like?
ma'am. Ma'am, one of our faculty member, Dr. K.B. Srinivasan, the physiotherapist, would like to ask a question to you.
Yeah.
Sir, you can ask, sir, now. Dr. Srinivasan, sir.
Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, please, Solang.
Yeah. This is Srinivas, Sports University, sports physiotherapist. So it's a big relief. It's a wonderful session, and it's a big relief you spoke about epigenetics. A lot of people should be happy at the present situation since they are already not out of epidemic. The genetic talavalila in Ime, they don't have it, I believe. And so since you spoke about the 2 risk factors, ma'am, the major thing is one is unhealthy diet and lack of exercise. So I will be happy if you can add, because people of different platform are there in YouTube and this watching the program. There are people who cannot think about their plate without non-veg. So add something to that. And one more thing is exercise. There are so many people who doesn't know what is the intensity you have to do the exercise. So you mentioned moderate intensity. So is there some parameters where they can gauge it and they can really, helpful for them?
Thank you, Srinivas. Very pertinent questions and lovely feedback as well. So to answer your question as to non-vegetarian food, yes, it is an important part of the diet for many of us. So you just need to understand that, it has a lot of good in it, but the fact that, the unhealthy fats are also present, so it's rich in cholesterol, right? Animal meat. So what can you focus on? So in general, the focus should be on seafood. Seafood is quite healthy, especially if cooked in the right way. So I have not gone into cooking methods here because that's a completely different topic altogether. But if you deep fry your fish, then you've lost most of the good qualities that or nutritious content that fish has. Okay. So fish or seafood, when cooked appropriately, so that is steaming or just boiling it, all of these are good methods to consume seafood. And again, non-vegetarian or poultry, like lean meat and poultry, are relatively healthy. So skinless, the skin has a lot of fat in it. So skinless and regular grilling or again steaming. Deep frying is definitely a no-no. I mean, as long as it's not done once in a way is okay. But if that's the only way you're going to eat your non-vegetarian food, then you need to actually revisit that problem, right? So it has a lot of good in it. So I think eggs have, the yellow of the egg is also nutritious. So we recommend all our patients to have at least 1 or 2 whole eggs in a week, and almost egg whites can be had every day as long as you don't have any protein issues. Okay. So in terms of non-vegetarian food, hope that is clear. And your second question of intensity of exercise. Yes, there are several ways in which you can gauge your intensity. A simple way is what we call as the walk and talk test. So this is what we had alluded to in our survey questionnaire as well. So if you're able to walk or talk, as in when you're walking, you're doing brisk walking and you're able to talk, that means it's a moderately talk very properly, as in without any breathlessness, you're doing a mild to moderate intensity exercise or walking. If you're able to even sing during your brisk walk, if you call it a brisk walk and say I'm also singing, that means you're not actually, the intensity is very low. So this is a simple gauge as to say, so if you're actually walking real fast, as in a good pace for your condition, so it actually varies between individuals, right? So if I'm walking at 5 kilometers to 6 kilometers per hour on my treadmill, And at that speed, I can talk 2 or 3 words at a time, but I cannot have a big conversation, or I cannot have a I cannot sing a song. So that's what I'm saying. So if I'm jogging again, that again you will have to assess. So this walk and talk rule is a good indicator. And then we have something called the Bogue test. The Bogue scale. You would also be aware of that. For patients, people with heart problems, we generally recommend them to go by the Bogue scale. So people with heart diseases should not go too low or too high in that scale. So somewhere between 11 to 15 is ideal for people, unless they are completely supervised. If they're training for a big, competitive event, then yes, we could even push their limit in the Bogue scale to about 17 or 18, where it's almost higher intensity. But if they are under supervision, then that's absolutely fine. So this is how we gauge the intensity. And if you use some apps, if people are using apps, you can also look at your heart rate. You can, in fact, keep a tab on your blood pressure pre and post exercise. So these are some ways in which exercise intensity can be understood. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. You made my day and many others' day by saying yes to non-vegetarian. Thanks for your wonderful time, ma'am. Thanks for your wonderful
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, we have one last professor who would like to ask.
Sure, please.
We know that we are taking your time.
No. I'm available. So if you want me to address more questions, feel free to ask me. No problem.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Last one faculty member, Dr. Grace Helena, ma'am, is there. She's the professor and head.
Yes.
Ma'am, please, ma'am. Please, ma'am. Yes.
Very good morning to all of you, and very, 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 very thankful, ma'am, Dr. Chokkalingam, ma'am. It was a wonderful presentation by you, and I am Professor Grace Helena, and heading the Department of Exercise Physiology and Biomechanics. Right, we teach exercise physiology and nutrition, and whatever you spoke, we are also teaching to the students as well as to the public, and we are also getting into so many webinars like this. And I am so very much overwhelmed with your words and what you have spoken right today, and everybody has understood what you have spoken also. And now it is the time for me to ask you something due to this pandemic condition. And many of the IT people and the teachers and students, right, at present sitting for quite long hours, like 10 to 12 hours in a place, and without any relaxation, without any eating or exercising, right, without doing any kind. How do they overcome with this heart problems? That is my first question. That's my first one.
Let me answer that, Grace, because it will be easier to answer as you ask.
Please do that. Please.
So thank you for your kind comments. I'm really happy that most of them have received the information well. So this pandemic has definitely posed a new problem, that is the work from home problem. As you rightly said, we are now doing a lot of our work from our work spots in our house. And right now we've at least sat for about 1.5 hours since the start of our webinar. So in general, it's called sitting is known as the new smoking. So people know that smoking is bad, but they don't realize that sitting continuously in one spot is bad. So I have, if you wouldn't have noticed because you can't see me fully, but I've been doing small movements to my toes, to my legs, and to my lower limbs as much as possible while I was doing my presentation, because I know that sitting is not good. So the message is sitting for a continuous period of time is not good. If you can take short breaks. So I know that work from home is challenging. You still have to meet all your deadlines and work commitments, but you need to, as I said, try to find that balance, try to find a little bit of time in between. And I think the whole team has to be understanding for that. So I think that's a corporate decision that people are making. But yes, if you can take 5 minutes in between 2 1-hour meetings, those 5 minutes can be used to walk up and down your stairs. Your home might have stairs, or you might just have a few lunges or push-ups that you can do in those 5 minutes. You don't need a long time to do these short bouts of exercise, right? So try to get that circulation going, try to keep yourself fit. Work from home is a boon. Otherwise, we would have all run out of work, or we would not be getting our salary. So it's definitely a boon. It's a technologically enabled advancement, but I think it is telling upon our health as well. So we need to understand that cannot be sedentary all the time. So take some meetings. If it's a phone meeting, just take it while you're walking. And, we even say drink a lot of water because you'll get up and go to the restroom instead of sitting down in one place. So these are some small changes that people can make within their household. So what's your next question, Grace?
Oh, that is also to avoid DVT, right? Deep vein thrombosis.
Absolutely.
That's more important.
That's the extreme.
More important to be highlighted.
That's the extreme end of the spectrum, but it's more to keep your muscles active and spend some calories while you're sitting down.
Okay. My second one is, it is not a question, but what is available naturally? Because now all the fruits which we are getting it and the vegetables which are getting it from the market, which are all pesticides. So how to overcome that, I do not know. Even see, we teach nutrition as well.
Yes.
And we are also telling the students and others to follow proper and balanced nutrition. And how to go about that, no?
Sure. Thank you for that again. So I think it's a little bit pessimistic to say none of this is natural. Yes, they're all being naturally grown, but in the middle, there might be some ways in which they artificially ripen it, or they add some, wax to it, or something to keep away the pests and all of that. So I think the farm to table is a good concept if you can source your, the local markets. So if you can source your groceries, that's your vegetables and fruits in the local markets, you might be more confident that yes, it's coming directly from the farm. If you can have your own kitchen garden, nothing like it. So don't need a lot of space. People still have, even their small balconies, they're growing a lot of produce, but these are all time consuming. So if you just want to go to the, shop, buy your stuff, wax can be overcome by just putting your apples in some warm salt water for a few minutes. So all these, there are techniques. So I'm not a big fan of going for organic foods, because they may be labeled organic, but we don't know ultimately whether they actually are organic or not. So I think we need to have the concept of eating fruits and vegetables, yes, trying to get it from a reliable source. And I think that's the best way to overcome. Again, there are lots of information on the web going on about milk. So they say everything white is bad, maida is bad, sugar is bad, even milk is bad. So again, I'm not a big, I don't agree with that, because how things are in the West is not how it is in India. We still know that the milk that we get in our markets are actually quite reliable. And if you have milk allergies, that is cow's milk allergy, then there are plant-based alternatives. But otherwise, if not, then milk and yogurt and even low-fat cheese are all paneer, low-fat paneer. All these are good sources of calcium and proteins and so on and so forth. So we need to, if you have any particular doubts as to some particular products, I think, a dietitian might be the best person to help you with. But in general, the message should be that the focus should be on a lot of fruits and vegetables. And there are ways to overcome the chemicals that they are contained in
procedures as techniques are there. Thank you very much, ma'am. And it was a really wonderful session we had. And once again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you very much for the opportunity. And thank you very much for the opportunity. And Dr. Mangerkarsi, Dr. Kannadasan, Dr. Srinivasan, and even Manoj are all very, very, very fond of eating non-vegetarian. That is why they asked that question.
Kannadasan, I am Dr. Chokkalingam.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Happy to welcome you, sir, on behalf of Sports University.
Just a minute, one comment only. I appreciate Priya and the platform given by all of you, Vice Chancellor and Mangerkarsi Kannadasan. Kannadasan, your poet Kannadasan was my patient long time back. So I'm reminded about him when I saw you. I really appreciate Priya. Only 1 minute I will take. And life is the one, your existence is proven when you move. When the movement is stopped, life is ended. So keep moving as long as you live. For the moment, you need locomotor system. That is what your university is concerned as sports and exercise. Priya stressed nicely. We must have mind to do exercise. This is very important. And mind will be controlled by your exercise. So it becomes a vicious cycle. And keep locomotor system all the time active. At the age of 80, 90, 110, whatever the age, keep moving. That is our life existence. I appreciate Priya for the excellent talk. And I used to say, Even today, I am in the 9th floor as the university in our department as a head. I never used even single time lift to go up to the 9th floor.
Oh, great, sir.
Great.
One
Great.
fellow asked me, please come by lift, sir. Why you are compelling me? Sir, lift la vaanga, sir. Lift la vanda mele seekram poidalamena. And please remember, the moment you are going to smile, the moment you are happy, Priya's specialty, Chockalingam's specialty, your heart will work minimum for 100 years. So even a lean person must do exercise because it increases endorphin. It's not by weight reduction make you happy. So never compromise happiness, never postpone happiness. Happiness keep you all as my friends up to 100 years. That's what is Priya has been stressing very nicely. I'm really happy Mangekarsi and the great Vice Chancellor and Kannadasan. That's what in short I tell all my students. Please avoid hurry, worry, hurry to get buried. So the moment you are going to clap and smile, please be very clear. Up to 100 years, you all my friends and my sisters and brothers. I really appreciate Priya.
Thank you.
Even though she was my student, I am learning a lot from Priya, and she has become a professor. And really appreciate as my daughter. She is doing a wonderful thing. That message must be communicated to everyone. I appreciate our Vice Chancellor and everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your surprising visit in this platform, and for the wonderful comment for Priya ma'am too. And the university feels great and honored for having such an eminent personalities to fulfill this webinar as a fruitful one. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And on behalf of the department and the university, I take a great pleasure in thanking Dr. Priya Chockalingam ma'am for her wonderful session for the past, it is almost 1.5 hours. And we didn't feel that it was 1.5 hours that we had been in this platform. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. And we are looking forward to have you in future to our university with a lot more programs. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the wonderful opportunity, and I would be more than happy to be associated with your university in the future as well. Again, thanks a lot.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Professor.
So that was an interesting session, and we would be moving on to another interesting session. We have with us Dr. Asha Rajani madam, retired professor, and to welcome her formally to continue this session, may I have Dr. Shaheen Ahmed ma'am, professor, Department of Sports Management, Sports Psychology and Sociology, to introduce our second resource person. Ma'am, please.
Yeah, thank you, Kannadasan. Good afternoon, one and all. Today, this task of introducing our speaker is a great privilege, and I feel elated to introduce her to everyone. After all, she's a living inspiration to the younger ones and the younger ones. I mean my parents, my generation, and our school children. So if one takes a closer look at the alchemy of this accomplished guest, one distinct virtue pop up, that is her pioneering spirit to be fit. So our speaker was born in Sri Lanka and grew up in Kunnur, later moved to Chennai and finished schooling from Doutangori High School. She went to earn a degree from Madras Veterinary College in 1973. She was one of the 5 girls among 120 students, which was quite a large number. She graduated in 1978 with a university first and 5 gold medals. She joined the Madras Race Club and worked with race horses, which she enjoyed it very much, and still she loved horses, I guess. Later, she joined AVIN, worked in Ooty in a dairy and stud farm, which was very interesting and appealing work for her. She joined the university as research associate and retired as professor of poultry science. She has published many research articles to her credit in national and international journals. She has written 2 books and got an award for one on poultry economics. She was member of the Academic Council and was nominated as the best teacher in the university and guided many PGs and PhDs. With regard to her health, she was born in a family of diabetics and was a diabetic at the age of 35. She has hypothyroid for the past 28 years.